Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, July 19th, 2017, with Tera Boo here this morning. Good morning to you, all of you, and happy Hump Day. And what better way to spend Hump Day than to spend a little time with Tera here, because Tera, you're kind of a woman of mystery on YouTube. You really don't, you're very selective about what you share. Obviously, you love gaming. You have a really nice, you got a 4K screen now for doing your gaming and stuff. It's kind of awesome, and Tera's classy. I mean, she does, I would call elegant dressing videos and things of that genre, and I really enjoy it. But people don't know a lot about you and your family's history. And I'm not going to give names or anything like that, but you have quite a distinguished family, especially when it comes to Western themes, rodeo and all that stuff, and with Calgary, with a connection to Calgary, Canada, and all the activities that are associated up there with rodeo and all that. But somehow or another, you ended up in San Diego. Your father was a colorful character, did everything from dealing cards to was in Friends, I think, with some of the big Hollywood Mock. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you and your family, and what the big connection was with the wild, wild West out there?
Well, speaking of the past, right off the bat, I want to say Dad spent a year with an Indian tribe, and they gave him a peace pipe, which we had at the house. He didn't use it, but he had one. And he had some other Indian things that Indians wore or used.
Now, how does he end up spending a year with a tribe? I mean, how old is he when this occurs? I mean, is he a young man or what?
Yeah, I guess he was born, I don't want to give a date, but he was born, around the 20s, so cars weren't exactly everywhere growing up.
No.
He rode horseback. He rode horseback wherever he needed to go.
Wow.
He told me he used to go all over Montana.
So, but was he born in the West? Okay.
In the Midwest area.
Okay. All right. So he was attracted to that whole.
That's just the way it was back then. You were kind of stuck being a cowboy or a cowgirl because
now you're so urban. In your setting in San Diego there, and it's a hell of a distance between like Calgary and Montana and San Diego to have ended up down there. But you also mentioned you had family that was hung out with some of those stars and stuff with Western acts and things for the movies and things like that. So how does that connect down from Canada and Montana to eventually get to Hollywood and stuff?
Well, apparently the old shows like Baby Bonanza and what's the one with Festus, Gunsmoke?
Yeah, Gunsmoke. Yeah.
Shows like that, the Clint Eastwood, where he would round up the cattle, rawhide.
Mm-hmm.
You had to have people who really were cowboys, cowgirls. You had to put them into the show somehow because you're making a cowboy type show.
And more than just technical advisors, right? For this is how you ride, probably for extras and things like that, or.
Well, supposedly Slim Pickens really did ride bronc himself, but Dad, one of his first jobs was to bronc ride horses to get them broken.
Break them.
He did that all the time. He'd live on a ranch. Husband and wife owned this big ranch, and they had a bunch of horses that needed to be broke, and Dad and another guy would break them all the time. And you do that over and over, you get good at it.
Yeah, it's a hell of a way to make a buck, though.
Early age, that's
getting
how he
bucked
made a buck.
around on a horse and stuff.
But he also had to do the labor at the ranch.
So he was like a dude, but a cowboy dude, to be able to have some skills with horses and stuff to be able to break horses, because people assume a horse is a horse, of course, and if you just put a saddle on one, it's going to do whatever the hell you want, but you kind of got to break the spirit of the horse and do that. So it's fascinating. So how does then he becomes associated with Hollywood, right, to the point that
well, he gets in, he leaves that and he gets into the rodeoing, and then he starts to make money. He even bought an airplane so that he can constantly fly to rodeos.
that's impressive.
And it's one of those old, heavy,
Now, what
big
was his
planes.
specialty in bronc riding, or what was? Did he have anything?
Well, I don't want to give
special?
away the exact
Okay,
bronc,
yeah,
but I'll
okay.
say bronc riding.
Okay, bronco riding. Yeah, I don't want to give any telltale
Well,
stuff.
don't worry,
here.
that's my job.
That's fine.
Is to prevent
Okay.
too much information.
Yeah, I'm just fascinated because it's very colorful when the West interfaces with entertainment and things like that. So
Well, because he made his way up into the rodeoing, he got to meet famous people because he was a world champion several times. So of course you're going to meet stars,
yeah, it's incredible.
and some of these other stars were cowboys themselves, like Slim Pickens and Ken Curtis, and one of the main comedian from the Roy Rogers show. Can you name any of the people in the Roy Rogers show?
No, just Dale Evans. I can't really name any of these secondary or tertiary people.
Well, he was best friends with one of them, and then one of his best friends was Ken Curtis. So
how did he get down to SoCal down there? Because he was up on the rodeo circuit in the whole West, and I don't see Hollywood as a major stop on a rodeo circuit, was it? I mean, how did he eventually end up in, down in, or how did you end up in Southern California?
Oh.
Yeah.
Southern California was because our grandparents lived here, and my mom's side of the family, grandparents, they had a lot of money, and I would get to stay at those high-rise.
Oh, I remember you
Coronado,
telling me about you'd go to dinner and
that was the real.
If you haven't seen the Del Coronado Hotel in San Diego, it is really something on Coronado. But your grandpa was very well-to-do.
So Mom moves over here after the divorce.
Mm-hmm.
So Dad goes. He stays in the Arkansas area.
Okay.
But anyways, I go from Wisconsin to Arkansas growing up, and in Arkansas, we have a huge auction barn, and I'm always around horses myself.
And you ride.
And at 13, I used to ride and pen cattle myself.
There you go.
And
you bet you didn't know that about Tera, did you?
so I lived the cowboy or the cowboyish ranch life with cows and horses growing up. And then I move here and I get into the city life, so.
Yes, you said. Now we've wrecked her for rancho life up here, but it's fascinating your family's history and that connection, and that you ride, and you could probably hop on a horse today and do very well and head it up good and do pretty good. It's fascinating. Do you miss that, or are you just all citified now? You don't ride anymore, do you?
No, my horses are my favorite animal.
Okay.
I miss
Yeah,
horses.
I've got that. I got that point.
Just so you know, I can't fit all the interesting information in your Chooch. There's just too much. So there's so much information I can tell you.
Well, there's always a future when I'm retired, and we can spend more time with Tera, because we're shipping her here and there over these days and having a good time. But there you go. So pretty well-known family when it came to rodeo, and also kind of blending into entertainment. And you get to know, because a lot of these Hollywood people came off the rodeo circuit, and everybody is a small world. It travels everywhere together, so it's fascinating. And you've still kept your love for horses. And
they're a magnificent animal.
Yeah. So stay tuned in the future. I'm going to be going down and spending time with Tera. We're going to go over to Del Mar Racetrack and see if we can nail some winners, hopefully next year, and that'll be a lot of fun when they're racing at Del Mar. But thanks, Tera. That was a lot of fun on the morning Chooch today. We kind of pry open. Tera's kind of that oyster on YouTube. There's a little pearl in there, and you just have to get that little that oyster shucking knife in there and kind of pry that open a little bit. But It's fascinating stuff, and one of our favorite people on YouTube for sure, and I'm sure one of you guys too. Well, we are off to San Francisco today. One of the things that Tara wanted to do was have a little bit of a chooch around San Francisco. And as I've said before, us and 80,000 of our closest tourist friends from all over the world will be down there sharing the streets and the sights with us. So stay tuned for that. And thanks again, Tara, for a lot of fun on the morning chooch today. Give us a howl. Ooh. The howl light. Got to have a little bit of Jim Beam in her to do the real McCoy. All right, everybody. Thanks so much.